In an age of constant connection, the most intoxicating text is often a cancellation. The message comes in. "I'm so sorry, I need to cancel tonight." And before you even finish reading it, your body answers first. Your chest loosens. Your shoulders drop. The whole evening suddenly feels larger, quieter, lighter. For 1 second, it is pure relief. Then guilt rushes in right behind it. Because that reaction looks awful. It looks flaky, uninvested, antisocial, like you did not really want to see them in the first place. But that is not what is happening. You are not always relieved because the person is gone. You are often relieved because the pressure is gone. That is the part almost nobody names correctly. They think relief means disinterest. They think if you truly cared, cancellation would only feel disappointing. They think friendship should feel easy by default. But for some people, the cost of a plan starts long before they ever leave the house. The dinner is later. The coffee is tomorrow. The meetup is only an hour. None of that matters once your system has already started preparing for it. And if this is you, then you know exactly how early that preparation begins. The plan sits in your day like an open tab. You think about what time you need to leave, what you are going to wear, whether you have enough energy to sound present, whether you are too tired to carry conversation, whether you can be warm without forcing it, even when you like the person, even when the plan is small, even when part of you wants to go. That is why the cancellation can feel so strong. It does not just remove the event. It gives back the energy you had already started spending on becoming socially available. That is why relief hits before sadness, because sadness belongs to the friendship. Relief belongs to the body. And the body is usually faster. That speed is what makes people feel ashamed. The text comes in and you can feel the answer happen physically before your values have had time to catch up. Maybe you even feel your face change. Maybe you sit back in your chair. Maybe you put the phone down for 1 second and just breathe. Then the guilt starts managing the scene. You pick the phone back up. You type, "Oh no, I hope you feel better." You delete it because it sounds too flat. You type something softer. You add an emoji so it looks disappointed enough. You watch the little typing bubble appear for a second, and your stomach tightens because some part of you is absurdly afraid they are about to say, "Never mind." Then the bubble disappears. The cancellation stands. You send the message, you lock the screen, and the relief comes back like a wave. That reaction is not random, and it is not cruelty. After a full day of reading tone, timing, facial expression, and expectation, the brain can start treating even a friendly plan like one more thing it has to manage, which is why the body can feel relief before the mind feels permission. That one sentence explains more guilt than people realize, because now the feeling is no longer, "I must be a bad friend." Now it becomes, "My system had already started bracing." That is a very different story. A lot of people think social energy is spent during the plan. For you, a large part of it may be spent beforehand. In anticipation, in rehearsal, in that low, constant background hum of knowing that later you will need to be attentive, conversational, expressive, readable, easy to be around. Not in some fake theatrical way, in a very ordinary way. The kind of ordinary effort most people never mention because it sounds too small to justify how tired it makes them. But small things add up. A dinner is not just dinner. It is leaving the house when part of you wants silence. It is adjusting your face to match the moment. It is keeping your answers alive when your energy is flat. It is listening well when your mind is already crowded. It is trying not to let the other person feel your fatigue. It is knowing you will probably need recovery after something that looked harmless on paper. That is why canceled plans can feel less like a loss and more like being released from a contract you had already started paying. And this is where people get you wrong. From the outside, they see relief and assume you do not care. Inside, it often feels like recovered bandwidth. From the outside, they see avoidance. Inside, it often feels like recovery arriving early. From the outside, they see distance. Inside, it often feels like your nervous system being told it can stop preparing now. That does not erase the conflict. In some ways, it makes the conflict sharper. Because you probably do care. You probably like the person. You may even genuinely wish you had more energy to see them. That is what makes this pattern hurt. It is not indifference. It is divided truth. One part of you wants the closeness. Another part of you feels the cost before the closeness even starts. And if that tension has been with you for a long time, there is usually a reason. People who feel a huge rush of freedom when plans get canceled are often not people who feel too little. They are often people who have spent too long being accessible. The one who still showed up tired, the one who kept the mood smooth, the one who listened past their limit, the one who learned that saying yes was easier than explaining fatigue, the one who got used to managing other people's comfort while quietly draining themselves. So now, when a plan appears, your system may not just register coffee with a friend. It may register an older role. Be pleasant, be easy, be engaged. Do not disappoint. Do not bring your exhaustion into the room. Do not make anyone carry how depleted you feel. That is why the relief can feel almost euphoric. It is not just free time. It is the sudden collapse of a role you had already started building for the evening. And that role is expensive, not because it is fully false, because it is edited, slightly brighter than you feel, slightly more responsive than you naturally are after a long day, slightly more emotionally available than your body actually wants to be in that moment. That is what chronic masking fatigue looks like in real life. Not a dramatic personality split. Just the repeated act of becoming socially usable while already running low. That is the deeper pattern. You were not just preparing to see them. You were preparing to be reachable by them. And reachability has a cost when your system is tired. That is the real climax of this whole thing. Not that you hate people. Not that you do not value friendship. Not that you secretly want everyone to disappear. The truth is much more uncomfortable and much more accurate. Your body had already started reserving energy for access. Access to your attention, your face, your responsiveness, your tone, your emotional regulation, your ability to stay present and pleasant for another human being. Then suddenly, it did not have to. You do not feel relieved because you do not care about them. You feel relieved because the energy was already being spent in advance. You feel relieved because your nervous system had already started budgeting for contact. You feel relieved because being reachable for 2 more hours felt heavier than you wanted to admit. You feel relieved because cancellation gives back what masking had already reserved. That is what is really happening. Not selfishness, not fake friendship, not a character flaw. Prepaid social exhaustion. Once you see that clearly, the guilt starts to make sense in a different way. It is the guilt of being a caring person whose body still wants out. The guilt of liking someone and still preferring silence. The guilt of wanting connection in theory and feeling freedom in practice. That is hard to say out loud, so most people do not say it. They just keep calling themselves flaky. They keep saying yes too quickly. They keep overriding the signal until every canceled plan feels better than every kept one. And that is where the cost appears. Because relief protects something real. It protects energy. It protects regulation. It protects the part of you that does not want to drag an already depleted version of yourself into another interaction and then quietly resent the other person for needing normal things. Sometimes relief is information. Sometimes it is your body telling the truth before your manners can edit it. But if relief becomes the only version of peace you trust, the pattern starts turning on you, because then every invitation feels heavy before it even becomes real. Every connection starts looking like a bill. Every plan begins to feel like a threat to your remaining energy. And little by little, you stop asking whether you want the person. You only ask whether you can survive the demand. That is where the line matters. Recovery says, I need less demand so I can show up honestly. Avoidance says, I only feel safe when the plan disappears. A boundary says, I want to see you, but not at the cost of performing energy I do not have. A wall says, it is easier to lose closeness than to explain my fatigue. Being alone can restore you. Being lonely is what happens when cancellation starts feeling better than connection every single time. So what do you actually do with a pattern like this? Not something dramatic, not a life overhaul, just one honest pause. The next time someone asks you to make a plan, do not answer in the first 3 seconds. Let your body register the cost before your politeness makes the promise. That small delay can tell you more truth than the guilt ever will. Because, no, feeling sudden relief when plans get canceled does not automatically mean you are flaky, unloving, or antisocial. It often means the energy cost arrived hours before the plan did. That is understandable. But it is not automatically healthy just because it makes sense. If every invitation feels heavier than the relationship itself, then the problem may not be the people. It may be how much of yourself you believe you have to spend in order to be with them. Sometimes the person who feels instant freedom when the text says, "Can we reschedule?" is not relieved to lose the connection. They are relieved to stop paying for it before it even starts.